Hey, it's Shaves, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest, where we go over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week from the 9th of June to the 15th of June. Yep, first for the videos. You know, once you go with a week without any, you land on a week with 3 videos that I thought were not good. I cringed. I was not a fan. The first was, unfortunately, by Misty Chronexia. I think this is the third time. I think it's the third week in a row I've talked about Misty. It's pretty remarkable. But, he keeps coming up with interesting things. And it's things I kind of want to check out. Like, what could he possibly do here? Misty News, your new team for anime, manga, gaming news. When I first saw this, I thought he was just kind of playing off the PewDiePie thing. And he kind of is. But he's playing up the news role a little too serious. I don't really get what the drive was here. I mean, I think it ends up being a little muddled. He wants to do multiple things here, and they clash. It's like you kind of have to choose. Because he on one hand he's taking it completely seriously. He's getting genuine news topics that are happening in the past couple of weeks or day. I guess that this week, I don't really know. And he's delivering them in like that kind of serious like anime news type of like as a legit news station, I guess. But on the other hand, it's all off the cuff, and he's stumbling a lot of the words, and he's injecting his opinion a lot of the time. He has these 2 other characters that he's playing himself that are correspondents. One of them's like weather girl. It's just weather related news where it's like weathering with you is getting global distribution, or like after the rain is getting a dub. It's like, yeah, it's kind of creative, but kind of weird you go out of your way to do just that. And then he has this guy in the thumbnail who's a sports commentator, and he's just eating some toast. So with peanut butter and some toast, and he's like, I know there's not much going on. The God of High School's coming out. It's like, what is this? What is this? I was just baffled by like halfway through it. I'm like, what are you trying to do here? Because it's not that funny or insightful. It's certainly giving you bits of news that I hadn't heard of. I don't really prowl Anime News Network every day like I used to. I don't know why. I just kind of fell off of it, I guess. But that used to be a big habit of mine. And I was talking with my roommate the other day how weird it is that there really isn't sort of an anime sort of podcast or channel or anything like that dedicated to news. I know Bob Samurai has tried that a couple times over the years, and I'm sure others have tried too, but I think what it ends up feeling like is a really dated, I don't know. It's like, because there's no analysis to it. I think what would make it stay and kind of like worth re-listening to is if there was input and opinion and analysis to it, which like, that would be cool if that was Misty, but if that was what Misty was doing here, but it's not. It's like trying to be funny, mostly. I don't think it comes off great. I just don't think it worked all that well, and it was kind of awkward. Yeah, I mean, I don't have too much, but I was just really baffled by a lot of it. It's like, there was one part where like he mentions that a PV, and it's like, yeah, it looks cute. I'm like, what is this? Like, you're not saying anything about it. You don't say who the staff is. You're not saying like, what's so interesting about this is like it's based on a manga. Talk about the manga. Like there's like aspects that I think could be really digging into here, and like, what's the significance of you telling us this? Like, why should we care? I feel like that's a lot. Like, that's half the job with journalism, is not simply reporting that this thing happened, but also really communicating why people should care and why people should listen to this and think about it. Because it's more often than not, like 90% of the time, it will be topics that nobody will care about inherently. Like, if you just bring it up on conversation, you're like, okay. But these journalists take a lot of time interviewing the right people or looking up the right sources and doing the digging and present it for you in an accessible way. I mean, I'm just explaining basic fucking journalism here. And I guess I really shouldn't be expecting that from this video, but, you know, but like, it's like, you're not doing that, but it's also not entertaining or funny. I mean, that, and I guess I have less things that, it's like, the toast thing felt really random. I just don't think the jokes were all that good. And it's also not helping when it's very clearly a lot of this is off the cuff and you're not doing multiple takes. Maybe you did, and I apologize if you did, but like, it really seems that you're intention, or maybe you're intentionally stumbling some of these words. Like you go like January. It's like in the video. It's like, is that supposed to be funny? So it's like you're not doing an either thing, and yeah, I don't think it quite worked. Maybe I shouldn't have gone as hard on this as I did, because like, yeah, no shit, this is gonna be like for some of you, but it's like, I know, I like that. I like that he's doing different things, and he's not doing the same tired top tens and everything, especially coming from him who like really spearheaded that movement that people are still doing today. But yeah, no, it didn't work for me. Oh my god, did you see this fucking TeamFourStar video? Haikyuu official release TFS originals, and like, this is a really weird thumbnail too. It's like, what is this? You click on it and it's an animation by the same guy who did the one of their other shorts, and he's like one of the members of TeamFourStar, but I'm not like an original member, but like, who cares? He's part of it, it's cool. But not this. This was weird. I don't know what they're trying to do. It's not an abridged. I'm not expecting an abridged. They don't say abridged, thankfully. But not like I hate abridged, right? But it's like, that was what they were good at, and they're using that, their sense of humor, to like, it's not even making fun of Haikyuu, but like, it's using Haikyuu as like a skin to tell this very different, unrelated story about, they have to win the volleyball tournament, but they are missing one member, so they have to go get Michael Jordan from like, they fly over to the United States and are walking around this fucking park or something and looking for Michael Jordan. And then they fight like a sentient skeleton of a Tyrannosaurus Rex that like Michael Jordan is inside. It's nonsense. You're like, what the fuck? It's and like, but like, that would be kind of surrealist and everything, but this is just dropping out of nowhere, and it just kind of drops you in medias res, and it's like, you don't get an understanding of what they're trying to do here. And like, it's not being clever with regards to Haikyuu. It doesn't have anything to do with Haikyuu. That was kind of my problem with it. It was like, I'm not like a Haikyuu fan at all. I think most Haikyuu related videos get into like not good, or I have something problematic to say about them, actually, which is funny. But how many there are, I guess. But this was like, had nothing to do. And you see that if you notice even more, there's a basketball there. And I don't know if this is a series they're going to do. Where did they come up with this? Like, just like a fever dream. And it would be funny if it was like a one-off, but I guess it's going to be a one-off. I don't know. They said they had it to be continued. They have like a segment of the next episode that they're going to do. But this just seemed kind of out of nowhere. Is it like a new series called Official Release? And like, there's a bunch of, are they just going to lampoon a bunch of anime, but not actually lampoon them? Like, that's the thing. They just kind of take the characters of Haikyuu. One of them, the main character, I forget his name. I don't know Haikyuu. So they actually named the orange-haired kid Haikyuu. They just name him Haikyuu, which is silly. But like, what? And it's not like the animation is something like, whoa, check this out or whatever. It's very minimalist, and that's fine if it's minimalist. But but like, that wasn't necessarily an element that I would like watch it for, kind of deal. But it was so weird, and what? I was just kind of left like dumbfounded and confused rather than entertained. So yeah, I don't know what these dudes are doing. I feel like they're just like in this free fall after fucking quitting DBZA, and they're like, we're gonna do new things. We got so many ideas, and it's like, was this your idea? What? And also just like, be like, given how like ambitious and forward pushing they were in this medium when it comes to like a bridge series, and they were very talented guys. what is this? I don't know. It was just surprising. I've communicated this in other places for sure, but it's like, yeah, that's another miss for me, guys. I'm sorry. What the fuck? And last, Getting the Real Bot had a video. These anime are trash, and I love them. And it's about the host here talking about some of her favorite anime that she says are trash, but she likes them anyway. And the first example she gives is Haruhi Suzumiya. The anime Haruhi Suzumiya is trash, but I like it. What? Excuse me? Now look, I haven't seen Haruhi Suzumiya. But you don't just say it's trash and get away with it without, like, significant reasoning. And the real problem is, for almost none of these do they say, why is it trash? Why are you saying these shows are trash? Is it obvious by, like, the premise or something? Like, you would say, like, one of the things she says is, like prison school is trash. But it's like, okay, because of the premise is really raunchy, over the top, a little crass. Like, use better words than just fucking trash. Like, what do you mean? And, like, she takes, like, she, like, introduces multiple terms. Like, there's different categories of trash. There's gourmet trash and classic trash and steamy trash and pure trash. Like, nonsense! What do any of these mean? And like, all the shows that they mention, I can kind of see some argument, but there's no justification for any of this. And it's 18 excruciating minutes of it, of just rattling off these shows. Of like, this show is trash, but I like it. Oh, I can't get enough of it. And like, recommending you these shows, but calling them trash. What do you think you're doing? Like, I don't get it. It's so bizarre. It was so just irritating. And like, I don't have a problem with you making these, but have a point. That's the thing. It's just, I don't think any of the points were all that convincing. I think that the points you were making when it's like why you like these shows were convincing enough, because it's like, you can give any reason to like a show. That's cool. That's fine. I think it's great that you like anime. I think it's great that you want to like show these are great shows for this and reason. This show's bad. I like that. Like, Black Butler is was an early favorite. I actually had it as my all-time favorite show for a long time before I gave it to Tasha Joe. But I did really like Black Butler. And you're calling it trash because it's all over the top. Like, I can't even really tell you why she thought these shows were trash. Like, it's just so convoluted and, like, vague. And I can't even recall the precise problem. Like, yeah, it's kind of dumb. Or whatever. It's like, yeah, but, like, you notice in these videos, like, the prevailing feeling is that you love the shows, right? I feel like that's the feeling you should champion, and not the fact that they're trash. And so I don't think the context or the pretext of saying they're trash is worth it or necessary. I think it's dumb. I don't think it's all that helpful. Does it really convince these people to watch this show? Does it really? Because I thought that would be your goal here, is to kind of recommend these shows. Say, we're all in quarantine and now, it's like, the worst part though, there was one show you mentioned that you don't call trash. I'm pretty sure you didn't even. I think you refuted the idea that it's trash. It was Kami-sama Kiss, and from 2012. It was like a shoujo thing. And you say it's like one of your favorite shows. It's like a 10 out of 10. It's like one of your favorites. And then you talk about why you like it so much. And you're kind of, whatever. It's at the end of the video, like the last thing you talk about. And it has nothing to do with being trash, and yet you like it. I do, like, there are some things you kind of allude to being trash. All the other shows you allude to being trash. Like, fucking, like, ReZero, she mentions, and it's like, yeah, the ReZero, we know, and next one. Doesn't even say why she likes it or why she thinks it's trash. Like, you're just bringing it up. Why? It's baffling. But this show, you don't say is trash. I'm almost positive you never once allude to it being trash. Why is it in here? Why do you feel the need to recommend this show that you really like in a video called These Anime Are Trash and I Love Them? Is it because you don't have the confidence in the show's popularity to get views on YouTube? You don't think if you made a video on Kami-sama Kiss, it wouldn't get the numbers on YouTube to be worth making that video, to be worth paying the editor and paying these people to make the video? Like, it wouldn't get enough views. So you want to talk about it, but you can't. But you have to find a way to talk about it in a video like this. Has nothing to do. Are you kidding me? It's so antithetical to what I care about, in, like, what content I want to put the fucking name of the anime in my fucking title. I have to go back and double check that all my videos have the name of the anime in the fucking title. If one of them don't, I will put it back in there. I do not want to be a part of that practice. They should be in the fucking title. Okay, dude. I got really heated there. I'm sorry. I was just really fucking amped, dude. I get that there's titles where putting the title of the anime is not really going to help or fit all that well, or that it just doesn't work, or that you want to surprise people with what you're talking about and everything. I get that completely. There are videos on my channel that don't have the name of the show, but like, I would be shoehorning it in a way to also try to boost the numbers on that video, which is also kind of what I'm trying to be vocal against, I guess. I don't know. I'm being very radical in this rant, but I'm keeping it in because I don't know. It's hard to kind of cut that out, I guess. But I wanted to add this. Yeah, I know it's not a complete. I get it. But I don't know. I guess it's just the spirit I was in. I still kind of stand by it. I'm pretty passionate about this shit, I guess. But yeah, I was really appalled that, like, you have to bring that up in that particular context. It just was so transparent of, you're just cracking the whole thing open. Like, oh, okay, corporate, have to make views, gotta make something, some people have a problem with it, and like, I should be happy that you're at least talking about a show that you like, but in this context, I was very disappointed. I was I was like, wow, this sucks that you have to resort to this. Make a video, have the name in the seriously. Yeah, not good. Well, I'm gonna give you a request video from Flugmorph. I have to catch up a little. I'm sorry, Flug. Flug or Flug. I like Flug, but if it's Flug, I'm sorry. I have 2 videos to go through theirs, but I'm gonna do one this week and then do the other one next week. But it's a video by Manmode. Is this Kill la Kill video, how Kill la Kill captured my heart. I actually did not watch this when it came out because, I don't know, I think Manmode's aware of it, but it's like, yeah, it just wasn't on my radar. I wasn't really watching his content or anything. We weren't like mutuals or anything. And obviously since then, I've become quite the fan of his content, and I think we've grown a little closer as friends, I guess. But yeah, I finally went around and watched Kill la Kill capture my heart, and I was interested that he made this video, knowing that he wants to make a point of Kill la Kill video, or that's like the next big thing he wants to make. And I think I see why, because he makes a point in this video that he could tell you the point and talk about the themes of this show and go into spoilers and all that, but he doesn't feel like that. He's like, you're not a baby, or he kind of like has this justification for it. But since then, I guess he's been like, no, I really gotta fucking tell you, So I think that's what that video will be about. Hopefully, the point, I would imagine, is what it's supposed to be. But that's interesting. But this was more generally about, as from an experiential point of view of him, of how much he likes Kill la Kill as an anime. And you can see a lot of alpha point of Gridman in this video, and probably others like it, and that shows growth as a creator, where it's like, yeah, this element was in there, but like amplified or just perfected in Gridman, or or made better, or whatever. But I think generally this video has a lot of strengths in that Gridman video, and shows a lot of his positive qualities. I think his ability to be very not flippant, but like very has a really great attitude towards it, like kind of like, I don't care about your feelings, I'm going to talk about my feelings kind of thing. And like having certain memes and reaction things pop up, and the way he talks about media being very passionately, and his music being very choice about his music selection and really caring about that, and a lot of these really great elements of like really caring about the craft of making a video. And I always love like seeing his himself in it as well. The influence with Best Guy Ever is really on his sleeve in this one too, like kind of having a similar montage that Best Guy Ever did with Gurren Lagann, with his part 1 doing like Spin Me Right Round with a different reaction stuff. But he does kind of something similar in here, and then like in the video he has like the Best Guy Ever's channel. He's like, this man is my hero kind of thing. And it's like, okay, cool. He's transparent about it. That's cool. But that was always really fun to see. But I have to say, like, generally, I was also very happy that, as someone who hasn't seen Kill la Kill yet, I don't know why I haven't, honestly, but as someone who hasn't seen it, I was happy that he didn't really dive too much into spoilers kind of deal. Because when he was mentioning it, I was like, I didn't consume any media or fan reaction. I was like, yeah, it's me too, because I'm watching the fucking video. It's like, yeah, I should see it. And I was considering stopping the video, but I let it keep going until it gave me a spoiler. Then I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna back out. But he didn't spoil it, so I was like, wow, cool. That was really nice. And I really liked how he talked about the visual aesthetic and defending a lot of decisions they made, and really championing it and really getting a good feeling of it. So I really think he kind of zeroed in on it. But I think generally his video making has gotten much better as a whole, because especially in like the third, like the last not third, but the 3/4 mark, because the last quarter I'll talk about separately, but like around the point between OST and his conclusion, I thought it was kind of all over the place and didn't seem to have like a forward progression, I guess. Or it's like, okay, when is this going? And I was checking the progress bar and how much video was left kind of deal, and I'm like, okay, he's kind of, but it didn't have like it didn't have like a driving narrative. The whole video, I think, was generally like that. It didn't feel like a propulsive as, say, his Gridman video, which I think is really the gripping factor, which is kind of the rub, really. I think that's the hardest thing to make about big videos like this, to make them not feel rambly, is to have that through line. I think it's very difficult, and so it's like, that's not easy. So it's like, it's not a bad thing that you didn't have it, but it's like, it's noticeable in his particular video. So, I was pretty okay with it. I was like, this is decent, again, it was kind of alpha Point Gridman in that way, but it has a lot of those elements like, that's cool. And I was especially smiling in kind of like the first couple minutes too, because like the way he introduces himself and everything like that is really charismatic and iconic. It's so cool. But God, the last 5 minutes or like 8 minutes where he talks about purely himself and where he was coming from before watching Kill la Kill, and him becoming jaded, and then finding Kill la Kill and like enjoying life kind of, and like getting a haircut, and like like reading a book like with Shakespeare, like shit like that. It was so I loved it. It was wonderful because it was just so like inspiring, and like it had like a sense of humor to it, but like it was like invigorating. It had like this attitude towards it, and you were kind of like, fuck these other guys. It's like, this is my experience, and it was like, oh my God, it's wonderful. It's like, that's the fucking inject that shit into my veins, my dude. That was awesome. But it's like that shit, the fucking best, the Kino fucking shit. It's kind of like the Point of Gridman conclusion video, like, I love, which is like so legendary, fucking iconic, of like ending your video and then linking an unlisted video at the end and then clicking, you know, and all the people who've watched all of it kind of comment on that video and not the first one. It's like, it's so cool. You know, I want to steal it so bad, but like it'd be too obvious of where I'm taking it from. You know what I mean? It's like, that's so clever. Anyway, but God. Yeah, but what was I gonna say? No, I loved it. I just love that. Yeah, with like that ending video where it's completely personal and about him, I guess. It's like, God, that's so cool. And I take a lot of influence from that for Access to Nizaki. I was like, yeah, I want to kind of do something like that. So yeah, excellent. But like, so like that is way worth the whole video. I'm like, oh yeah, dude. That shit's great. Even like, I would probably I shouldn't say it. I really shouldn't say it. But I'm gonna be honest. If I was to rewatch this video, I would just skip right to the end and rewatch that part. Maybe the whole video is decent. Like, yeah, that was nice. But I know you can. I've seen you do better. And then that last part is like, wow, that is what I know you can do. That is it right there. That's the good shit. I don't know how insulting that is. Or maybe, I don't know how you feel about that video now. But it's like, yeah, I think it's great. But yeah, no, I was very happy to talk about this. Thank you, Flugmore, for requesting it. That was cool. It's good to, yeah, I liked that. Okay, now for the videos that I thought were decent. Oh, yeah, it went pretty good. Yeah. First would be Zeria. You know, she's quitting YouTube, or at least YouTube as we know her to make, that she's not going to make anime-related videos anymore. And this is the last one. It is all anime postmodern that she released the same day as her separate video announcing that she'd be quitting AniTube. You know, functionally, it's like there's other things that she wants to do. I don't think she really mentions her book all that much, because there's just other. It's just more than just the book, I guess. But I would imagine it's a lot of it's the book, because she's writing a whole novel, and that's crazy. That's really cool. So really, best of luck with that, and that's really awesome. And it's like I told her this. It's like, you're not disappearing off the face of the map. You know, you're still going to be on Twitter. You're saying you could make more videos, but they're just not going to be anime related, and it's like, don't expect that anymore. Which is fine. But it's like, I know other YouTubers like Goat Jesus blipped off the map. Anime Every Day blip off the map. Other guys like that happens a lot, and they kind of just disappear. And it's unfortunate. And it's like, they just got bored of it or kind of fed up with it and leave. And it's clear that you're in that similar position, but you still want to create. And it's less that like you're tired of it and more like you've outgrown it. I really think, especially with this video with postmodern, it really seems that you were kind of detached from it in general. I think you had the idea initially, and in the process of making this video, it kind of was like, and you can kind of feel that here, that it's like, starting to outgrow it with, you're reading so much more, you're watching so much more like actual films, and I really enjoy the film thread that you do all the time. That's always really fun to read. But it is great that you're expanding your horizons to more than just anime, and it's like, it is something that I think a lot of us should do. Maybe make a video on that, but I know you're not. I know you're done, but I totally feel that, and it was definitely coming across in this video too, where like you're reading up on this definition that this guy, and you have like your whole wheelhouse and stuff, and it's like you shouldn't be expecting it from specifically zeroing in on just anime anymore, and that's totally fair. And it's like, yeah, I think so long as you're willing to still be creative and you're not discouraged. I did feel, I'm not trying to focus too much on your leaving AniTube video, because I'm trying to make this one video a week, kind of one video per creator in the playlist. So I chose this last one because I thought that was fitting. It's nice to respect the person's last work then, which I also like that you did, and not like other YouTubers that kind of just stop and they you don't know that's their last video, and then they just die. But I'm happy that you kind of have this. It was very, very tasteful, so I wanted to kind of respect this video. But to address the other one, one of the things you mentioned was like, you know, getting these comments all the time about how wrong you are about Liz and the Bluebird and these other things. That she's like, you know, it's less. I don't want to misquote it, but it's like it seemed that it was less of a criticism and more of an observation, and you're tired of the fact that everyone kind of assumes it's criticism and they were treating it as such, and it's like it's poor criticism. It's like that's not what it is. And you know, interacting with that is exhausting, and I agree. That's why I don't care about numbers anymore. I don't care about the fucking normies finding my fucking videos, because there's no sustenance in it, in the discussion, in these randos commenting on these fucking videos if they don't make videos themselves. You know what I mean? I've voiced it here a few times, but again, it really is no major disrespect to people who watch my videos a lot or these digests and don't make videos. It's totally cool. You can do whatever the fuck you want. But when to me, I listen or react to what other creators think of my content rather than some random dude. You know, that I would rather that, or just, you know, if you rate blogs or something like that and you're coming from a place of constructive criticism or like appreciation, I usually value that a lot more. So I totally get the frustration of not finding value in making videos when your comment section is going to be bullshit. I totally feel that. I can't imagine, especially some of the comments you get on like making these like Marxist videos and stuff. It's like, oh, forget it. For these political videos. But yeah, I don't know. I forgot what I was saying. I'm sorry. But yeah, to react to this video, I mean, I think it still has similar strengths and weaknesses as your other content. It didn't feel super finality or anything like that. I still do think, and I'm happy you are proud of the videos you have made, for sure. But this one did have similar strengths and weaknesses. Like you are very well read in the topic you have, but it's not made as accessible to people, which is not a huge big of a deal. But it's like in this video, it's so hard to criticize this video or to like give you pointers and stuff when you're not going to make it anymore, right? It's tough. But like I would say, text would have been nice. You know, kind of like listening to 4 bits and everything, just to kind of communicate communicate what you're saying a little clearer, I guess, to get your point across. And I know you hate editing, right? And it's like, yeah, visual components can suck my ass. But it's like, hey man, it can really help you. No, but I get that. I don't. When you said that, like, I'm tired of editing, it's like, how am I not tired of editing? I don't know, because it can be kind of annoying, but you know, fair enough. But and then also it's this, you know, you were kind of exhausted. You didn't really want to call some of these anime out. Like, I think there's a point, one of the 4 points of postmodernism in the definition, and you're relating it to certain anime and stuff. There's one where it's like, look, I don't want to name names, but we all know what they are. And I'm like, oh, I don't. But I guess you don't want to really open that can of worms, especially when you're leaving. It's like, I'm not going to dive further. I'm sorry. So, I mean, fair. But, you know, sad to see you go, I guess. But it's like, you know, I'm not as sad about it, because it's like, you're clearly happy with your decision and you're going to keep being creative and improving your writing. You seem to have gotten what you set out to do with starting a YouTube channel. It's like you didn't necessarily want to get the growth or whatever. You wanted to improve as a writer and reach an audience, and you did. And so I was really happy to hear that you're at peace with it generally. And I think this last video is interesting in the way that it really does communicate that you've outgrown anime in terms of talking about it. Maybe not fully in terms of watching it, and that's cool. But yeah, I can totally feel that, and it's like completely understandable. So I think this was a very good move, and I think it was a very good bow out. So best of luck to your other content. That's what I mean. It's like, we're gonna see you. I'm not gonna really say goodbye or anything because it's not like you're dead, right? That's really weird for the fucking flag, fucking death flag and shit. Like, what the fuck, dude? Sorry. No, I'm looking forward to what you got next. I don't care if it's not a video. I think you're a really interesting creator and a great voice for our community, and I'm happy with what you put out. Thank you. But that's not the only anime YouTuber that bowed out this week. It was weird. We had 2 in a row, and it's like so rare that they like announce it too. But like 2 in a week. The other is Shonen Ronin. The end of Shonen Ronin, the start of something new. Which the start of something new is kind of vague. They don't really. I don't think it was communicated all that precisely. And it really is just kind of over Hearthstone footage or whatever. But it's Calliope, the editor for most of their videos. He's a patron of mine. Talking about ending the channel as it's known contemplatively, where it's like Hunter x Hunter Dick Writing Association and Cherry Boy Writer and some of these other guest writers writing these videos with the intent of amplifying their reach and their voice and everything like that. And I guess they were very dissatisfied with the results or the reception or something about it they weren't vibing with, or the energy wasn't there, so they wanted to kind of part. They're still on the same server, right? They're still talking in the same Discord and stuff. They haven't like completely disappeared, although it does seem that I guess he's kind of currently known as Ant Monarchy on Twitter, which is interesting. So it's like, there seems to be kind of a evolution of their personas, which is interesting. I know Cherry Boy Writer was also very dramatically kind of distancing himself and kind of fucking off, I guess. But, I still think they're valuable voices, and I enjoy their content. I was happy to edit for one of their videos very early on, and I'm happy they got the reach that they did, and had a voice, and that was really cool. And if this was kind of nebulous in terms of this particular video, I don't know if Shonen Ronin was if Calliope in particular was very like precise and to the point, I guess. It seems very off the cuff, and that's totally fair. Can't blame, can't judge, So yeah, it's too bad, but I'm happy. It seems that it was amicable, like the kind of the departure and everything, and I like some of the allusions to Hunter x Hunter and them splitting up and stuff like that. That was kind of nice. But yeah. I guess you hate to see it, but it is kind of the natural course of this stuff, really. All these sort of things kind of come to an end, or a transition of usually it's not like an end unless the person really does pass away. But I think it's exciting that Shonen Ronin is like, okay, what we're doing doesn't seem to be working. Let's try something else, or still do our thing and be most comfortable, be most happy. I remember a particular Twitter account that I was fucking obsessed with when it came out because I love it. It's Arthur Out of Context, because Arthur's a show that I really care about. It's a kids TV show, whatever. But like Out of Context, I think it slaps, and I think it was a great channel. But only a couple months into doing it, the moderators, the people who kind of ran it, they were like, I have to step off. I can't do this with my mental health. I have to take care of my mental health. And everyone was very supportive. I was like, yeah, great. It's a person who is self-aware and not going to spiral out of because they can't let go of their baby. Because there's a lot of people who's like, they have their personas and their channels, and they don't let go or clean it up or reform it in some way that is healthy to their lives because they feel like they have this obligation to their audience or their patrons and stuff like that. So I can imagine that the guilt, there's a very major guilt there. It's like, oh, people will be disappointed in me sort of deal. But I think the ability to be very clear and make that decision is really admirable for both Shonen Ronin and Zeria. I think it's great. It shows that there's self-awareness, you know what I mean? And they're not just putting on a facade of keep putting out this content, even if nobody notices. If nobody notices there's something kind of off with them, or they're not feeling it the same way. A lot of these YouTubers, a lot of these guys who experience burnout, and not to say these two are experiencing burnout necessarily, I think it's some kind of more metatextual thing, a lot of these guys put on a face and they keep going because they care about their audience, but inside it's not really working. But to have that self-awareness and be like, yeah, this is not working, we have to move on, I think it's really healthy. So that's great to see. Again, not too nebulous and kind of nebulous in terms of where to go, and it's not like a very graceful bow out, but I think it was good that they did. And best of luck to your good stuff. Thank you for the content, I guess. Yeah, I know it's kind of weird to be like, thanks, but I really do. I think you guys made some cool stuff, and I'm looking forward to see what else you have. Good shit. I got a view from Jeiku Anime Review, who is pretty active on Twitter. He's got quite a good following there, but also makes videos and hasn't made one in a while. And put out this video, was Clannad worthwhile? It's kind of a general review of Clannad and Clannad After Story and the movie, which he very quickly dismisses as not good or whatever. And I'm pretty salty about that as a Dazaki fan. And he's like, he said like stiff limited animation and then showed a postcard memory. I'm like, come on, dude. Fuck you, man. Oh no. But a lot of the points that he was saying weren't all that great either. But they're all generally based on his opinion. Or this is, he can have these thoughts. But I don't know of how well thought out or well developed they are based on textual things. And I don't know. I don't know how convincing his arguments were here all that much. But what really kind of elevated it for me was the way he presented this was so idiosyncratic, I think is the word. I really should get better vocabulary. I know these words, but I don't really know what they mean. I'm really bad, guys. But like, it's so weird. He would just kind of cut in these jokes and like the way he would say certain things and like off the cuff and kind of like, but like making an edit out of it and like kind of jostling your attention every so often. And it was weird. It was kind of funny a lot of the time. I wish I wrote down some of the things he said, but it was actually really cool and like I don't know, engaging. Again, I think the content itself is kind of fine, whatever, not like super poor or exactly. But what was kind of elevating for me was this like weird sense of comedic timing or like weird random phrases and thoughts and like kind of like a little bit like Jack is Boy. It kind of reminded me of that, but I don't know if Jack would ever go this level or go down this way. I don't know. It was even like, it wasn't like lowbrow. It was just like awkward and weird. But because of the awkward and weirdness, it was like, what? And I was just kind of delighted the whole time. In that way, from those moments, which was plentiful, I thought. And then the rest of it's like, yeah, it's Clannad video, yeah. With some pretty unfair shade to the Dazaki film, if you ask me. But yeah, that was kind of interesting. Just wanted to shout that out. That was kind of like, what? Huh. The Unknown Otaku put out a video called How to Recognize a Terrible Anime in Just 1 Second. And I think this is him being more tongue-in-cheek and satirical. Which, man, he can be really good at thinking that, like, that gif of, like, they had us in the first half, not gonna lie? Like, I thought he was serious for a long time. And granted, I'm really bad at noticing sarcasm or like in that sort of humor. It goes way over my head, or like I'm very oblivious to it. That's just a thing about me. I always take things as serious unless it's like very, 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 very glaringly obvious. But there was a certain point afterwards. I was like, oh, okay, he's kind of making fun. He's kind of making a ha ha. And it's super crass and but still has that very deadpan Unknown Otaku delivery. Like he talks very serious the whole time, but like saying very silly things, I guess. It was very interesting. He's talking about how like One Piece, he could tell it was great from watching the 4Kids version. Like it devolves into that. But I think he's lampooning a lot of these people that are like, I have discernible taste, and I know when a show is good or bad, and kind of lampooning this idea of recognizing a bad anime without having seen all of it. But I'm not sure how much was it, because he is kind of mocking me a little bit. It was not me directly, but like what I do believe, I am one of those people that do think you should watch the whole show if you're really going to talk seriously about it. Otherwise, I'm really not going to take your opinion that seriously. And, you know, there's been pushback where it's like, what do I have to watch? 50 episodes of a 100-episode show? And I can't tell you it's bad? You know, and there are some people that do generally believe it. And I'm like, sure, you can talk about those 50 episodes. You can talk about what you've seen. I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying, don't be an authority. This show is bad. It's like, you should be like, it's, you know, I shouldn't really dictate of what people should or shouldn't say, I guess. But it's like, I'm not gonna trust you if you do that, and you know, and if I don't have trust in you as someone with opinions, as someone who calls themselves a critic, or an analyst or whatever, I'm gonna have a tough time believing you the rest of the way, because I feel like it's somewhat manipulative, right? You're telling this story without the full information, which I guess, you know, persuasive essays tend to do, but I don't know, I just doesn't rub me the right way, I suppose. Anyway, but this is more of a satirical thing. I think it's not so much in a grain of truth. I don't know where Unknown is on the line here, but again, I'm really, really aggressively bad at figuring that sort of thing out. So this is like walking on landmines for me when it comes to this content. But you know, what can you do? I thought it was fun. Some of the edits are really funny too. It's not like just one picture and shit. There's a lot of kind of creative stuff here and there, and I think his humor can be funny sometimes. But yeah, that was kind of neat. Well, it was good to see that, honestly, because it you know, didn't have directly to do with like drama or anything like that. Not like I don't like drama or anything. Yeah, sometimes the tea can be very sweet, but it was nice to see something else from Unknown, or something kind of more satirical or on the lighthearted side, I suppose. It was cool. Got a video from Spence, and he's relatively newer, and you can tell he's kind of just starting out sort of deal, and he sent me this video, and I'm like, ooh, LOGH, who the fuck talks about that show? And I do complain about that in my own LGH video, but I'm happy someone actually is really doing it. Talking about Gaiden specifically, the prequel. So like, you know, the OVA came out, and then once they finished it, they did a bunch of side stories and like previous thing before the events of the series take place, kind of like how Reinhard got his ship kind of deal. And I actually haven't seen it myself, as someone who loves LGH but hasn't. I need to rewatch it. I've been starting to rewatch it, but then I've been back and forth. I really want to watch it with someone else, I guess. So whatever. But you know, I really should get to Gaiden for sure. But it was a really good recommendation video, generally talking about the merits of Gaiden, talking a little more narrative-wise and kind of what happens in it and why it's so important, but not necessarily metatextually of like, why is this important for context of LGH? He kind of just says it's important for later, sort of deal. I think he doesn't focus on the OVA all that much, the main series, which is fine. I would have liked that a little bit more, but or like maybe some metatextual debate of like, you know, what's the effect of watching the main series before Gaiden, and what's the effect watching it chronologically, which is something he recommends, and kind of contrasting that and making a good justification for why. Because, I mean, I haven't seen Gaiden or any of I didn't do any of that mess. I just watched the OVA, and it's my second favorite anime, period. You know, it's like it's like way up there. I really, really, really respect the shit out of that show, and I do love it, though it's been a long time since I've really consumed it, and it's so long and like dense. It's not even that it's long. Like Joe's technically longer, but like there's more physical stuff that happens and more things that are talked about in every episode, and it's so packed that there's a lot that I just forgotten or just kind of have vague memories of, and but I still love it a lot. But yeah, no, this was really cool to see that of like being, you know, as a recommendation video. I don't know if anyone's really talked about Gaiden in the specific context like this, so this was really nice. editing wise, I think it could have been. I think it could have been a little better in some points. I think the unfortunate only comment he's gotten in his video so far. So if you give him some attention, that'd be cool. The only comment he's gotten was Kiss Anime Watermark, which is like, yeah, there's a. You shouldn't. It's like it's an unwritten rule, and I know somebody else edited this, so it's like I don't want to comment. Once I was gonna make some more comments on like the editing and stuff. Like I thought some of the clip selection, there was parts where you include the shot afterward. You know, like you include a shot in a video, and then you cut off right before the next shot happens, and so it looks seamless. There's parts that kind of had that like little split-second frames and stuff, and it got a little disorienting. But very few people usually notice that. It's usually just editors like myself who care a lot about that, and that's it. But that's fine. It's just something to kind of notice about it, I guess. But I get if someone else is editing it, there's really not much you can do about that. So it's like, But yeah, I really did enjoy this as a LOGH fan. As someone who hasn't seen Gaiden, I do think this was good justification for it. Yeah, it was nice to see. And I'm looking forward to your growth and what else you can do, and talking about further things. And I'm happy you're in the game, my guy. Good seeing you. I watched the latest podcast from the Anime Misfit and Lamp, critiquing AniTube and their Trash Taste podcast with Jackass Boy. And that was neat. I went in as I went for a walk, so because I thought there wouldn't, I figured there wouldn't be any visual elements, but there were a couple here and there, but it didn't detract from my enjoyment of listening to it as a podcast and not so much of a live stream. Although they do implement a lot of aspects of a live stream, but it was good to listen as I went for a walk. So that was nice. And, Jack bounced off pretty well with Misfit and Lamp and stuff, and I like that Lamp got a little more, like, heated and stuff, talking about this particular YouTuber, this reaction channel. But this particular podcast, they were talking about general AniTube criticism and community metatextual, like, reception in terms of how we handle talking about each other and how we deal with comments and general improvement, of ourselves and, communicating that to other people because, it's easy to kind of get heated about certain things. And I agree generally with the sentiment that we've mellowed out a lot. But a lot of problems do still persist of a lot of these creators are just not watching other channels, which is one of the reasons I started Digest, was because I knew a lot of people didn't, and I also didn't myself. Like I didn't have I just didn't have the habit for it, and so like doing this allows me to, really talk about it concretely, so it improves my own content and see what other people are doing, and also it's for other smaller creators and stuff, hearing what other people are doing is like, here's what I don't like seeing and here's why. Not that you have to only value my opinion or anything like that, but like, because other people would probably not be bothered by the things I'm bothered by for sure. I also wanted to make a mention of, they were talking about Digest, and Jack mentions that I have a propensity to be harder on the bigger channels than I do the smaller channels, for reasons that like, they're just starting out, and but like he's absolutely right, and you say I wouldn't want to admit it, but it's not true. I freely admit that, and Manmode has laid the same accusations on me as well. But like I do that because what would be the point? Like I don't know. I think it is generally because it's like some of these guys who are bigger, it necessarily implies that they've made more content, so they should know what they're doing. So like if they take an L, it's a little more extreme and a little more like odd. But and I think you voiced this too in the podcast. It's like, if these smaller guys are making these kind of whatever, and they're not great and for whatever reason are mediocre or something, like that's to be expected kind of deal. It's like, yeah, anybody's first few videos are going to be shit kind of deal. But I don't necessarily agree with that. I think there could be merits to these smaller content stuff to be appreciative of. You want to be like, I still like to think that I give a lot of these smaller channels credit but also still criticism. Like, really do tell them that when I think their clip selection is poor, or you know, they're not doing too much with the editing. I don't know. It's usually with the video stuff that I think there's a lot of, you know, but like when I have something critical to say, I don't try to hold it back, but you know, I like to think I'm fair in that way, but I do openly acknowledge that bias, that it's like, yeah, I have a higher standard for people with more subscribers because they have a greater reach, and if they're putting out crap and that crap is going out to a wider audience, but this smaller content isn't, that's an injustice to me. It's like, wow, you're fucking making us all look bad, right? Because you think of these people that are critical of anime YouTube as a whole and thinking they're all shit or whatever, and then they only watch the people with million subscribers. It's like, well, if that's like they somehow think, you know, quantity of subscribers equal quality, so it's like, well, if that's the best you got and that's what everyone likes to consume, I can't even fucking imagine what the smaller ones must do. It must all be bad. So it's like, you know, I'm trying to kind of negate that myth, and it's like, no, the big guys are usually putting out not great stuff, and the smaller people are actually putting out really cool stuff that I want to champion. Because it's like, if a smaller channel is putting out like crap, and I know it's crap, like I'm subscribed to a lot of channels, and I don't talk about some of these videos because I know if I was to say anything about them, it would not be anything positive, you know, and I just wouldn't have anything constructive or engaging to the conversation for you to talk about. So that's my kind of 4 or 5 cents talking about criticism here, I guess. But this was a cool podcast. Good episode. I enjoyed it. Okay, I'm going to talk about what I thought were the best videos of the week, starting with Rash Plays. The more I thought about it, the more I was like, no, this is really freaking cool. This was also sort of a commentary, similar to what the podcast was, but a lot more abrasive and a lot more no holding your punches. This is a rant of why the anime YouTube community is garbage. And at first I was clicking on this thinking, okay, what the fuck, you know? But I do generally think they care a lot about the group that they're a part of. And the group they're a part of is almost exclusively chapter reviewers. I think that's what a lot of them think anime YouTube is exclusively. They're not talking at all about anything that most of the videos that I talk about. And I don't really talk about the chapter reviewers or the episode reactors and stuff like that. That's mostly what Rash Plays is talking about here. And I really like the vibe, honestly. And maybe I talked about one of their videos previously. I have checked out one of their videos before, kind of about a similar topic, actually. So maybe this is redundant. I don't know. But I like this vibe of the two or three friends. I think it's just two. But it could have been more voices. I don't know. I think it's just two guys like just ranting to each other and having this really heated conversation. Not like out of animosity. Like they're both pissed at the situation and they're both like, you know what I mean? And they're just talking over DBZ footage, or not DBZ footage, but like gameplay of a random DBZ Budokai 3. I don't know Dragon Ball video games, dude. But like it got that vibe of two guys in one of their friends' living room or their bedroom playing this game or against each other while talking about this, and like it was engaging in that way. It felt like you were in the room with them, and kind of something that it's cool to listen to and be engaged with. And it was very passionate and really sharp at points because it's a rant, right, and kind of off the cuff. But they have a lot of like analogies and like these ideas, and echo a lot of the points that I make here in Digest in general, talking about like, you know, do you really think a lot of these people are just doing it for clout and they're just the numbers game and they're just making shit, or, you know, and copying other people and not being yourself. And it's great. I really agree with a lot of what they said here, even though primarily it's not really the same pool of creators that I'm talking about. So it's not as relevant inherently. But I think it was really good. And I do think that the conversation really carries it, even though, you know, visually and presentation-wise, it's really nothing special. It's not like a pointed written thing. At first I was going to put it in decent for that reason. But the more I thought about it, the more I remember it's like, yeah, this is really cool. I really like this. So I was really happy to see this, to listen to this. I think it's worth your time. I mean, you know, if you like rage, I suppose, I think it's kind of cool. GabbyElla with a silent voice video, a silent voice trip to the past. Kind of cool thumbnail there. And there's a very quick video talking, not really, it's about silent voice, but it primarily has to do with Gabby's personal relationship to the film and how she relates to it, being bullied in the past, and relating to Shoko, I think that's her name. Anyway, the deaf girl, standing on the balcony there, going to jump and everything, and she does kind of relate to it in a way which is harrowing to listen to. I'm like, wow, oh, okay. But she sounds great. She sounds like she's in a better place now, and she says she is and stuff. And you know, she's gotten friends and everything like that. And personal shit. You know, I'm a sucker for that. And it was cool to hear about silent voice in that vein. And not just kind of talking about like, this movie's so profound, it talks really well about bullying and suicide. It's like, See, you know, I don't know. I think a lot of silent voice videos kind of end off that way, and they just kind of get kind of repetitive and generic at that point. But Gabby not really focusing so much on the movie as such a well-crafted blah blah blah, and more about like, this affected me in this way, and this is what it means a lot to me. That's interesting. That's engaging. That's unique. That's really vulnerable too. It's awesome. So I was really happy to hear that from Gabby, and I really enjoyed that. Yeah. So somebody decided to evolve themselves and even go even further beyond, and I was really happy about it. Fucking GilLiesHere with AniTube, Oron, and the problem with translation. And if you motherfucker, if you can't pander to me any more than putting AniTube in the title, Oron in the title, and yourself making it, and Jesus Christ, yes, I was like, hit subscribe. Well, I'm already subscribed, but it's like, you weren't subscribed already? No, holy shit. I was like, this is what I was like, if he'd made this if he started to dip his toe at any point here, and so it's like, yeah, Gil moved past making AMV stuff, which I don't want you to stop. I mean, I really like them. I don't think he will, but this seems kind of a tangent, sort of an entry point where he felt the need to say something about it. Talking about Anime Matt's Oron video a little bit through Digest. Like, he found out about it from Digest, which I was so elated about. It's another thing you're pandering to me about. You're talking about me in some way. It's so fucking vain. I'm an egotistical maniac. But he, you know, using the AniTube Digest to find about Anime Matt's video to further this discussion of Oron and the word tranny, and translate it, you know, from the word okama, and kind of the background behind that, and why we shouldn't just jump the gun to say it's problematic and make it as a criticism of Oron High School Host Club or of Tokyo Godfathers, which is also a really good point that you make. But no, it's just fantastic. I wanted to make the major point that I took away from it was the vibe was so much like Joe and Pause and Select's videos. So much. But it was even better in this particular way, because it was like, it had that vibe, but the way Gil vocalizes this, I just think it's so much more clearer and accessible and level-headed. Not that Joe isn't level-headed, and he's very level-headed, but you know the way Joe kind of like really goes deep, like way deeper than anyone, like, whoa, you like to the where you can't see the bottom kind of deal, to where you can kind of lose him in some parts. I think think that's a common sentiment with his videos, that they're a little inaccessible sometimes. But no, like Gil is just so accessible and like clear and like straight to the point and brief. Like, it's only 5 minutes, but it's super It was excellent. It was so great, and the point he was making was really good, really important, level-headed. Everything about this was just flat out amazing. I loved it. I'm so happy you're in this. You made this leap. Fucking great. But as good as that fucking video is, I fucking think it's, oh my god. And it's like, you can't possibly make anything that is more, that would that would get me more enthused. There was one more video that came out this week that I really do need to highlight, that is really important. It is indicative of the content that a lot of people are making recently that I don't have too much to say about, because there isn't, I don't know, I just wasn't looking to, to talk about, I guess. But, Bennett the Sage is selling a large portion of his DVD collection to support Black Lives Matter. And Baron J put out a video kind of teasing One Angry Gamer and his list of banned traitors, people who support Black Lives Matter, and being this very vocal, like, yeah, fuck you, Black Lives Matter. And, making these videos, and a lot of people, it's kind of a running trend of people just massively unsubscribing because they've voiced this opinion or whatever, for whatever reason. They're like, haha, good riddance. But I don't think fucking anybody, is going to make a video like this from fucking Bonsai Pop. Afro Samurai, Fight the Power. Oh my gosh. That is exactly what I thought they could make. Like, I knew that there was potential there, and I knew that there was something there. It's like, yeah, these guys are pretty good. This is exactly it. This is phenomenal. Fucking phenomenal. There's an AMV mash cut of MLK, all the recent protests, police brutality, and Afro Samurai mixed in at the beginning. And then, I should know the guy's name, but the main guy behind Bonsai Pop, the main guy who voices all of them and writes, I guess. But it is a team still. But when he starts talking, he has never sounded more concentrated, serious, invested, and amped. Like, there was just such concentrated energy in his delivery that was just so overwhelming and, like, buzzing. It was just, like, fucking trembling with fucking, like, anger and investment, and just fucking go. And then they take 6 minutes to talk about Afro Samurai, the creation of it, and then generally what it's about. And then they cut the video. They go to him at his desk, and he's shown this before with, like, thanking his patrons and stuff. He does a lot of metatextual things. He doesn't spend any of the video on that anymore. So there's no Patreon thanking them or anything, because they wanted to take the L with this one, because they wanted all the proceeds to go to Black Lives Matter, of course. And they're obviously talking about this subject because of the recent protests. I shouldn't even have to fucking say that. But then he cuts it in halfway through, and then the rest of the video is just him talking about white privilege and what anime relates to the Black community, and how us as a community wouldn't be where we are without the Black community, without African Americans, without people of color. It doesn't even have to do with, like, production or anything. It just has to do with our community as it is, and I completely agree. I think some of the best content creators out on here are of people of color, and I'm happy that, like, I mean, I'm probably wrong. I don't know if I have a disproportionate of covering Black anime YouTubers and white anime YouTubers. I don't know if I have that bias. I like to think I don't, but maybe I do. It's something. It's a time that we all do have to kind of reflect on what we're doing, and it really is more prevalent than any of us realize, and it's still going. And this moment, more than any other moment in history up to this point, when it comes to this movement, now is the best possible time to do something about it and really enact some change, because we're in a situation with COVID-19 where 40%, fucking 40 million people are out of work, and there's nothing better to do. There's no sports, there's no entertainment, movies are closed. Like, there's so much shit that could distract us from this issue, and it's all stripped away. And we have a president who's not going to just try to appease these protesters. And he's not going to try to sign some legislation and have you fuck off. Yeah, we did something. You know, kind of like what happened with Martin Luther King's assassination. They passed the Civil Rights Act, which was certainly a really, really big, important step, but clearly didn't do enough. Clearly, we still have systemic racism in the country. You know, even after we say Jim Crow is abolished, it doesn't seem to be in some of these industries. You know, and I don't want to make Digest too much about it because it's like that I want to focus on the videos. And so when a video is clearly talking about it, I'm able to kind of discuss it, I guess. But yeah, what the fuck, Black Lives Matter. I think the writing's pretty clearly on the wall for people of what this means. Like, even if you don't believe that all lives matter and these other things mean what they mean, I don't think that necessarily matters in this point. I think at the end of the day, you have to be respectful to the people who are saying this is not the message. Like, you're not, like, you think of some of these people who are saying all lives matter, and then what are they doing about it? Are you out there protesting? Are you in support of you're not saying all lives matter, Black Lives Matter. You're just saying all lives matter. You know what I mean? It's very transparent. And I get you didn't want to hear about it in Digest. Maybe I'll lose some subscribers, whatever. Yeah, that would fuck. Not in it for the views and numbers, as you know what I mean. But yeah, I thought this was phenomenal and serious and driven and says it way better than I could. I don't know if what I just said here, I don't know if that's really going to I don't think it's not much. Because to me, I'm in a position of kind of helplessness, I guess. Maybe I'm not, because it's like I have a platform. I have the most privilege any human being could have, hypothetically, you know, straight white male, whatever. So I could do something. But I just feel this sense of like, these things are going to happen. These injustices are still going to happen. I just have to and this is just me giving my personal perspective. It's like, I have to do my best to when I see injustice, do something about it. If I have the ability to. But if it's just on Twitter, if it's a video that it happened, the guy's dead, and there's nothing I can do about it, and I can speak out and say that the police should be defunded. It was really interesting. I did make a tweet a couple of days or weeks before when the protests started really happening. I tweeted that, like, it's ridiculous that the police think that they're just invincible, and they need to be defunded. They need to be demilitarized and take away this invincibility they feel. Otherwise, these things I don't think would have happened. And it's not just happening to people of color, even though it is happening disproportionately to them. But it's happening to a lot of people, and it's not right. So they should be defunded. And I am happy that I at least said I did voice that before it became such a trending thing. And I'm not trying to take credit or anything like that, but it's like, you know, that's the most I can do. I can just tweet something. I can just, yeah, but, like, you know, so it's like the most I can do, I think, is to be aware of my own actions. If there is prejudices or biases that I'm exercising, I need to be aware of that myself. And if someone else has to tell me, that's my L. I should not wait for somebody to tell me, right? That's not right. I have to be aware of it. And if someone has to tell me, that's my fault. And I have to pay back double. I really have to be aware, you know, be conscious. And so I you know, the most is like, I have to be in control of my own actions and do my best to not buy into this and support the Black creators that are dealing with it every day, whether they like it or not, which I can't even imagine. Of course I can't. Yeah, you know, this got me really feeling. This got me really thinking. This is fantastic. This is one of the best videos of the year. This is, at the moment, the best they can do, I think, in terms of this fierce writing, conviction, really covering Afro Samurai very well. I will admit, I watched this a couple years ago. I don't remember why. I just kind of did it on a whim. And I was more of kind of an elitist and kind of stuck up at the time. And I don't know, I just wasn't vibing with it. But this really made it clear and kind of the purpose and value of this particular show. But it's only one piece. It's the least. It's an excuse. The anime here that they're talking about is kind of an excuse to talk about this very particular issue and not just like break character, I guess. Which I've seen a lot of other YouTubers do. They just kind of don't mix this important message in with the rest of their content. It's like they do their dedicated video and then they go on with their lives. I don't think that's how it should work. And I think Bonsai Pop did it correctly, where they integrate it. They make it part of their conversation. They make it part of the topic. God, fucking, at the end, they're just like, we're Bonsai Pop. We're Antifa. It's like, we're Bonsai Pop. We're anti-fascist. Black Lives Matter. And it's just, end of the video. They're like, oh! Crazy! Really freaking good. Oh my God. I was blown away. I think it's fantastic. Anyway, sorry that was, really extra on my part. But I do feel like it was important for me to say. I didn't want to be a fence sitter anymore, because I am being very centrist about most things, but this is one thing you really can't be in the middle on. Can't be. But yes, anyway, thank you so much for watching that episode of AniTube Digest. Thank you to my patrons who support me in the way that they do, including Beamburst, Flugmorph, Hazel, Jawburst, Najbeb, My Anime Pod, Unique Nemosaurus, and Yellow Cheese. Some of you guys, give me some request videos, Some of you guys, you can really request, all of these guys can request videos for me to talk about the way I did with Manmode's video. So if you like that, good shit. Anyway, have a good week, guys. Happy to unsubscribe if you didn't like that last part, I suppose. I don't know why I should be so self-conscious about that. I shouldn't be. Again, fuck numbers, right? Yo, peace.